when you find out in life that you have stagnated and you are just living a regimented routine life that will not take you to where you were born to be, where your mates are, and where you were designed to be. You know, I've told you, run at your pace, run at this, but there is an expectation. We are God's workmanship created in Christ Jesus to do good works prepared for us in advance. So, when I got to a point, I started to interrogate my activities. These activities, what are they bringing into my life? I would go to church. I became Sunday school superintendent. I became a men's fellowship leader. I was running all over the place, doing this, doing that, collect offering, say close, opening prayer, do that, open church school, did that. Fine, they helped me to develop. But it gets to a point when a child stops breastfeeding. Most of the kingdoms that were founded in the Niger Delta, emigrated from Benin. They got to a point, the prince reaches a point, he decides to start his own kingdom. Me, I didn't want to break church because I know divine principles. So I told my bishop that I wanted to go away to start a ministry. But the real thing was that I wanted to restart my life. So I sold the hospital. Number 59 Ikotek Bene Road, Petra Clinic. I sold it. Petra Hospital, I sold it. I gave the one in Ukanafon at Idimidim Junction as a gift to somebody. And I moved. It is still there, Idimidim Junction in Ukanafon. And I moved. I took a drastic decision. The day I told my friend A.K. Leon Numa in the United States, I was in his car, and I saw the sand that looked like the sand of the Niger Delta, where I come from. And all my dreams came flooding into my mind. And I remembered I wanted to be governor of the state at one time. And all my dreams started flooding into my mind. And I told him, brother, I'm going to leave this town. I'm going back home. And I got back home. I told my wife, we're going to leave this town. We're going to restart our lives. And she said, let us go. I took charge of my life. Because I found out that I would be personally accountable for my life. When I asked God, where do I go to? He said, I gave you a brain to think for yourself and develop your life so that I will reward you if you act well and de-reward you if you don't act well. So after all, I don't tell you when you are hungry. I've designed something inside you to make you know you are hungry. After all, I don't tell you when you sleep with your wife. Those words hit me hard. And it told me that in the parable of the talent, they didn't hold a church committee meeting. Each servant decided how to manage his talent and how to produce results. So I took the bull by the horns. I also read in a passage, I have that, my 22-year-old Bible. I read there when I read that time, I was meditating, praying. I read there, it said, go back to Jacob. It said, go back to your people and I will be with you and I will prosper you. Boy, my mind was made. A time comes in your life when you need to separate from the crowd. When I was in Aba, I was just with the crowd, following them, just moving like them, doing this, doing that, repeating the same church slogans, repeating the same church routines. And my life was going, and I was 40 years old. 40 years old. One day I saw my young friend. He was now a neurosurgeon. in the United States, and I told myself, if Wolam, I am lost. And God, I remember very well, I was crossing one refuse bin from my hospital to my residence near Jera Hotel in Ogbo Hill. And God said, don't compare yourself. You have children. Just go and develop yourself. A few years later, that my same friend called me and said, Dr. Apoki, I was telling somebody about you in the United States, that I know you. And she said, how can? And I called you. And he said, what you are doing in Nigeria, sometimes I feel I'm wasting my time in the United States. The neurosurgeon, wealthy man, most brilliant Nigerian I ever, two of them, Dr. Mike Oka and Dr. Chinyere Obasi. Some of the most brilliant Nigerians I've ever met. They were my juniors in the medical school and one at FGC Warri. And I was happy that I took the decision to separate myself and move. Because Aba was not an intellectual environment. It was a business environment. And these guys were not intellectuals. So I took all the goods I could take from Aba intellectually, economically, habits, social inclinations. I stole with my eyes. And I came to Ughelli and mixed what I stole from Aba with the deposit in me. And here I am today. Are you going to be bold enough to take drastic decisions to pursue your life? Are you going to take decisions to maximize your time? Withdraw from people. We will come to that. But it took time. I didn't just move one day. I planned intentionally. Be intentional. That will be the next video. I remain your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. There are many people stagnated, trapped, imprisoned in routine rat race in different parts of the world. I hope that this video helps you. Please share it with others and then subscribe to this channel and join my WhatsApp mentorship group by sending a message to +234 70 52 13 6763. What I shared with them in the morning is more detailed than this. God bless you.